Hey, what is up guys, Wavy Films here, and today I have another custom LEGO minifigure showcase for you guys. And for this showcase, I have my Suicide Squad figures that I've been working really hard on for the past month to get done for the release date tonight at midnight. So for this showcase, I have Harley Quinn, Joker, Enchantress, El Diablo, Rick Flag, Katana, Deadshot, Killer Croc, and Captain Boomerang all finished for you guys. And before you ask, no, I will not be making Slipknot, as I'm guaranteed he's going to get his head blown off in the film. Plus, I didn't have time to make that many figures. Plus, I didn't want to, because, like I said, he's probably going to get his head blown off, and I don't want to waste my time making a figure that's going to get his head blown off. So, yeah, sadly, I will not be able to see this movie until at least Monday or Tuesday, because I will be on vacation, and yes, I will be attending Brick Fair, but only on Saturday. I'll be making a separate video about that soon, though, so if you guys want to come up and say hi or something, then you can do that, but yeah, I will only be there on this Saturday. So yeah, guys, I'm so excited for this movie, and I can't wait. Of course, I have to wait a couple extra days to see it, unless I can convince my dad to let me see it while we're on vacation, which I'm hoping I can do because I've been waiting for this movie forever. So yeah, guys, without further ado, I hope you're excited as I am for this movie, and I hope you guys enjoy the figures. Alright guys, and to start off, we have Rick Flag, the leader of the team here. So this guy I actually was not planning on making. I was only planning on making the 8 members, or the 7 members of the Suicide Squad, plus the Joker. But after I finished Katana, who was the last person for me to finish, I had a bit of extra time. I had like an extra 3 days until I was planning on recording my showcase. So I decided to make Rick Flag, and he ended up being a pretty simple figure. So yeah, I guess we'll get into it. I'll start with his gun. I have no idea what it's called. I got it off of Minifigure World. I'm not sure if, because they sell third-party items as well as their own, so I'm not sure if this is a gun Minifigure World makes, which it probably isn't, or if it's a gun from another site. But like I said, I wasn't planning on making him, so I didn't buy an accurate gun to what he uses in the film. I just looked at a pile of some old LEGO third-party accessories that I had, and this gun looked most like his gun in the movie, and he looks pretty good holding it, so yeah, there's that. I guess we'll take a look at his face. So, the hair is just a regular LEGO Widow's Peak hair that I used because, I think it fit best, because the guy who plays Rick Flag, don't really remember his name, does have pretty short hair in the film. The head was Bard the Bowman from The Hobbit, as you can see on the side here. All I did was erase his not his cheekbones, I erased his sideburns, and then on this side I had to erase the bottom of his sideburns and the bottom of his beard so that you wouldn't see it when I put the hairpiece on. And then I just went over his eyebrows, mustache, and beard in dark brown to make it more accurate. The vest, I don't exactly know what. I know I got it from Minifigure World, but I forget what it's called. I bought it a long time ago. I bought it when I got my vest for Crossbones, which I got that one a year early in advance, so this is like 2 years old, so I don't really remember it, but I know it's not exactly accurate, but it's what I had lying around, because, like I said, this was kind of just a throw-together figure that I made kind of last minute, so, I still think he looks pretty good, though, but, yeah, so I just went over all of the buckles on the pouches with, gray, and then accurately I did do the little American flag, and then his last name, Rick Flag, just because he does have that on his torso, or on his vest. And then the back did have a stud on it, which I didn't like, so I cut and sanded that off, painted over it with black, but it didn't really help because there's a bunch of lines still, but it looks good from the side. So the arms, they were just plain tan, like skin colored arms. Then I painted dark tan onto them and painted his pockets and the lines that he has on his arms. And then his hands were just regular black hands, which then I painted tan onto for his fingerless gloves. His legs were actually pretty simple. I couldn't find a lot of good photos of his legs, so I just used one of a DC toy. I looked at some other customizers, Rick Flags as well, and this seemed to be the most accurate kind of design. You had these two black pouches that are kind of like squares, kind of, except they're like slanted on the one side. And then the lines going up, and now that I look at them, they're a little lopsided, but whatever. And then they do go down straight to the sides, and then I just painted him a plain pair of black shoes that do go all the way around onto the inside of the leg. And then I did paint on his belt, which just painted the belt piece black and then a couple little gray symbols. So yeah. So guys, that's it for Rick Flag. Like I said, he was a bit of a last minute throw together figure, but I really like how he turned out, because especially the fact that I wasn't planning on making him just made the fact that I do have a Rick Flag figure for the showcase pretty cool. So yeah, now we're gonna move on to Katana. Okay guys, so Katana was one of my more favorite figures because I think she turned out the most accurate and one of my most favorite and like the best looking and the most, she looks the most like her on-screen counterpart, I guess. So first we'll get the weapon out of her way. This is just a standard Lego katana because I didn't really feel like she had, like, I didn't need to buy a katana from a third-party seller when nothing's really special about hers, so I just used that. So for Katana's hairpiece, it's just a standard, I don't really know what you'd call this hairpiece, but it's one of these like shaggy hairpieces. I mean, like, not Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, but like shaggy as in like like messy kind of. I did, as you can see, sculpt on the two strands of hair in front of her face, because if you look all of the time in the movie, she does have hair in front of her face, and I got this idea from Lego, from Lego 97 Lego Maniac, because I saw his, and I was like, oh, that's a cool detail to add. I was probably just going to paint them on her face before, but happy I didn't do that. The face is, if I can get that off, Irina Spalko, I'm pretty sure that's her name, from Indiana Jones, the Indiana Jones sets, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because I really liked the mouth on that, and I think that it looked right, I guess, for Katana. Plus, it was one of the only female faces I had lying around, so. I did just paint white over her face, outlined it in black, painted on the red and gray details, and then painted where the eyes are supposed to be, as well as the scratch across her mask, which I think turned out pretty good. The hair is definitely one of my more favorite pieces, or the hair and the head are my more favorite pieces of this figure because they're what make it look the most accurate. The torso was a Slave Leia torso from Return of the Jedi. I just erased the top half and left the belly button and curves. The reason I didn't use an Area Lake curved torso was because, for two reasons. One, I only had one flesh-toned Area Lake curved torso, and I used it for Enchantress. And two, because I just thought, well, there's no point in me buying an extra curved torso when the jacket will be covering up her curves. And I just didn't feel it necessary to do that because you don't even notice whether or not she has them. I do have a curved torso for Harley Quinn when she's in her jacket, but there's an explanation to that, which I'll get to later. So yeah, I did paint on her, like, shirt thing. It's not really shirt, but, I don't really know how to explain it, and also other details on her torso. The jacket is a modified Cape Madness AR jacket. I cut the top off and trimmed the bottom a little bit. So yeah. on her jacket, I did paint all the details. So I painted on the star on her jacket, on her arm, and then I painted the 2 gold details on the front, the red all the way around, as well as the gold detail on her back. I really like how this turned out. Her little flag kind of wrapped around her arm with the dots on it. Then I do have the shoulder pads, which I was gonna, or not shoulder pads, elbow pads, which I was gonna sculpt, but then I thought I'd be copying 97 Lego Maniac too much, but also because I didn't really think that I needed to. She does have this weird ribbon on her back that goes around her arms, so I did that. I also really like painting on the flower. As I mentioned, she already had them, but I really like painting on the flowers. Her hands are just regular Lego flesh-colored hands, which I painted her black gloves onto. The reason I did this instead of what I did for Rick Flag, which was use a black hand and paint the tan onto, was because she had her sleeves weren't all the way down, so she had skin exposed around her wrist, so I wanted to show that. So yeah, not much else for her jackets. Now we'll move on to the legs. Alright guys, and for Katana's legs, they were just a pair of plain black legs. I did paint on another flower. She has a lot of flowers on her right side and some symbols. I don't know what they mean, and I did not fit all of the symbols she had. I just painted, I think there was 3 symbols on this side, but I didn't want them to go all the way down to her shoe because that's not how it is. So I just painted the first and last one. And then on her left leg here, she had like 5 symbols, and I only painted 3. The first one, the middle one, and the last one, because again, I don't really know what they mean, so it's not like I'm rating, it's not like if I were to rate damaged on Joker's forehead and I skipped out on both A's. I don't really know what it means, so it doesn't really affect me that much. I mean, if it does bother you because you do read Japanese, although I'm pretty sure those aren't exactly what the symbols look like, because I don't know, the photo I had was pretty blurry, so I tried to replicate them as best I could, but yeah, it's probably, even if those are the correct symbols, I'm pretty sure that's a dysfunctional sentence, because I left out some of the symbols, same with on her side. But anyways, I did also paint on her knee pads. I painted on gray and then silver over that, and then put some dots on there for the flowers that were on them. She did just have a pair of dark red boots, and then I painted on some lace there. And as you can see, I do have some 3D elements on her legs. I did paint red around on the bottom of her torso and around her belt section, because she does have some red ribbon or cloth or something tied around there like a belt. And then on the front here, these are made out of cardstock. On the front, I have the hilt or the sheath, or whatever the case, for her. She has like a dagger kind of that was in the front of her belt, and I painted red over that because it was kind of stuck in the fabric, like it was tied into it kind of. And then on the side here is her sword holster, again made out of cardstock and then just glued onto her side. So yeah, that's about it for Katana. Again, she was one of my more favorites and one of my more favorites to make. So yeah guys, that's it for Katana, and now we'll move on to El Diablo. Okay guys, so El Diablo was one of the more simpler figures of the showcase. As you can probably tell by his outfit, he barely has anything on the back or on his legs, so the most detail went into his head, so let's look at that. Okay, so I wanted to get a really close-up look at El Diablo's head, because most of my work actually went into it, because as you can probably tell, the most detail I really did, or the hardest detail I did on his torso, was right Diablo in there, which wasn't really hard considering I wrote Damaged and Lucky You, those tattoos on the Joker and Harley Quinn respectively. So as you can see, El Diablo here, I guess we'll start from the top and work our way down. There's the 7 painted on his forehead, I guess because 7's the unlucky number and he's the devil, so I don't really know the meaning behind his tattoos. And then he does have these really tiny tally marks. That's what they're called. And again, it does equal to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then he has a line there and like a plus sign with some dots around it. It was just a little pattern. Also, I forgot to mention the base head was one of those generic heads, if you know what I mean. It was the head that they used for Bruce Wayne and Loki. I used one of those heads, and I didn't really erase anything. I just kept everything because I just thought that's the most blankest head that LEGO really has for a flesh-toned character. So, yeah, I didn't even erase the eyebrows. I used them to make the top of the skull eyes, and then just went from there around and then back up on both sides and connected it to the eyebrows. I did write Diablo on his chin, and that wasn't really hard, again, considering I wrote damaged on the Joker, but what was hard was matching the font, and also, as you can see, I didn't exactly keep them a consistent size. The D and the I are considerably smaller than the A, B, L, O, and it was kind of hard to keep it centered, so I did have to redo it a couple times, but I really like how it turned out. And then he does have the marks on the side of his head for, like, because the skull. And then, of course, the mouth is not entirely accurate, I guess. I couldn't really make out, figure out how his tattoo on his mouth was. So I used the Pop Funko, which simplified it a bit and just did these, curly lines at the ends. And then I did know that it was like a skull, though, so that it had those lines. And then while I'm at my super duper close-up, you can see right there, I did write Diablo. The hardest part about that really was just that I was painting it on top of white paint, because any customizer knows that white paint is the worst paint. It's really hard to use, and it's really annoying to use, and it's really chunky and thick. Like, if you look from the side there, you can see it coming off. So it was just really hard to paint that on to the torso. So now we'll zoom back out and take a look at the torso and leg. Okay, so for his torso, I already showed you the close-up of his name tag, but there you can see it. You can't exactly see the detail of it, but yeah, his torso was actually pretty simple. It was just paint 2 lines out because his jacket kind of tapers into the top, then paint that line down, paint on the skin color, and I didn't paint his tattoos on there because I tried, but I couldn't really tell what they were. And I also didn't paint them on his hands because, again, I didn't have any good reference pictures to see what they were, so I didn't exactly know what they were. I did paint he has white buttons on this side, and then the clasps on that side in silver. And then I did paint his white stripes going all the way around. They are kind of scratching off in places because, like I said earlier, white paint is really hard to work with, and I'm just trying to get that off because that came off of his arm. But white paint is really hard to work with, and it scratches off a lot. So yeah, I did also paint around his arms, as you can see, the dark blue and then the white all around them. Of course, on this side it does keep scratching off, so I'll just keep that by his sides. You can't really see it. His legs were just dark gray, or they weren't dark gray, they were like dark bluish gray legs. And his legs did not have a lot of detail. He did have this weird strap or something. It might have been from a belt, probably, but it was coming from underneath his jacket, so that's why I painted up there and didn't paint a belt on, with a gold end. And then he also does have a gold chain with a cross on it, which I thought was kind of ironic, but it might be part of his character. I don't really know. And then, as you can see, his shoes down here. From the one picture I did see, they were Nike shoes, and they were white Nike shoes with the black logos. And because they were black logos, I just painted black soles because I did that from a Spider-Man figure, except with red and white instead of white and black. So yeah, that's about it for El Diablo. His back is pretty plain. This guy was one of the more simpler figures. So yeah. So guys, that's about it for El Diablo. One of the more simpler figures, but one of the more fun ones to make with all his tattoos and stuff. So now we'll move on to Killer Croc. Alright guys, and now we have Killer Croc, one of the more, he was easy to make with his clothes. Making the face was probably the hardest part, under, like, just knowing how to do it and stuff. So, yeah, we'll get a close-up on his face, and then we'll look at his jacket and his pants. Okay, guys, so, his hood is actually not removable, sadly, because of how much paint I put on his face. His face was originally, I think, a yellow or tan colored head. I don't exactly remember, but I painted over it with a tan color because to me, Killer Croc's head looks a little more tan in some lights. Like sometimes it looked more green and whitish, and sometimes it looked brown and tannish. And I did see one customizer made it look tan, and it looked pretty cool, so I decided to go with that. This was my first fully painted face because I usually always keep the eyes of a face, but I actually painted the eyes on this one, which is something I'm scared to do because I don't want to mess it up, make them too far apart or too close or too big or too small, because the eyes are really what make a minifigure pretty good. But I think I did pretty good on this one. Also, before we get into it, I do want to mention that I did not use the extended legs and arms trick or the woody legs and arms trick, because if you look in some pictures, he's not even that tall or taller than the other members. People are like, oh, you should use the extended legs, but really he isn't. Like, if you look at his statue, like the statues they released of some of the characters, he is more short and pudgy than he is tall and muscly, kind of. And I don't, like, he is taller than some people. That's because he's probably a taller person, but not enough to make, you know, make him stand out and purposely look taller, just because Lego minifigures are all one height, so sometimes they just have to be the same height. Anyways, get that out of the way. I did paint on the mouth, and I chose that expression because if you look at him in the trailers, he always usually has his mouth kind of snarling. I don't exactly like how this head turned out. I don't hate it, it's just I tried really hard to get it as accurate as I could, and this is the best I could do. So, sorry if you don't like it, but it's the best I could do with what I had. And then I did paint on the brown dots for all the scales, and painted on, I just kept painting on details. Like, at first, the only details on were the ones around the mouth, and the just the bottom lines for the eyebrows. And then when that didn't look good, I put the crease in the middle of the forehead, and then I still didn't like it, so I put the lines on top of the eyebrows, and then still didn't look good, so I put the cheekbones, and it looks okay now. It still looks kind of young, but I'm gonna have to deal with it. The hood is actually a Lego hood that has been sanded the crap out of. I cut the strap off and just went to town because his hood doesn't really look like a Lego hood. It's more dome shaped like this, so I decided to do that. So yeah, now we'll get a look at his jacket. Alright guys, and for Killer Croc's jacket, it was also a modified AR jacket from Cape Madness, which I did bend back the things. I just trimmed it at the top a little. To start off, I'm just gonna say this, that I did not finish the dragon because his jacket was always opened like this, and I never got a good look at the dragon's head, so I just kind of didn't finish it, but the bottom looks okay, just kind of curly with a bunch of dots in it. Then I did also paint on the lines around his arms, which they are supposed to stop halfway in the middle, or at the back. I don't know why, but that's what it looked like on the statue. On his back, he does have a circle with another circle in it with a bunch of dots with a crocodile head. It does look kind of bad, but my gold paint is really, really bad, so I did the best that I could. His hands are just white hands with tan painted on them, because the white are for his bandages, so I did that. And his torso is pretty simple. If I just open it up, he's just wearing a plain brown hoodie, so I painted on his skin underneath, his the gold zipper, which is supposed to connect to the hood, because I guess it's one of those zip-up hoods. Also, I did want to mention that I know a lot of customizers aren't making him with a hood, but from what we've really seen, at least to me, it does look like he's wearing a hood most of the time. Plus, my plan was to make the hood removable, but after I put it on, the hood isn't removable, so that kind of sucks. I wasn't exactly planning for that. Anyways, and then all I did for his torso was just paint that simple detail on for his hoodie pocket, and now we'll move on to the legs. Alright guys, and for his legs, they were just a plain pair of black legs, and he does have a pretty simple design on those legs. They're like track pants legs, so he just has a white stripe down each side, some plain brown shoes with some black details on them, and some gray knee details, I guess. They're just kind of like semicircles, like arcs kind of across his knees, so yeah, they were pretty simple, but that was okay because I knew most of the work of this figure was going to go into the jacket and his head. So you guys, that's it for his legs. Alright guys, so that's it for Killer Croc. I didn't really know if he had any weapons or anything, so I didn't really give him any weapons. So yeah, I really like how he turned out for the most part. So yeah, now we'll move on to Enchantress. Alright guys, and now we have Enchantress. She was definitely one of the more complicated figures and probably the one that the most detail went into. I really like how she turned out. And yeah, she just, as you can see, took a lot of detail and time, and yeah, so let's get into the close-up. So, the hairpiece for Enchantress was a Tonto from the Lone Ranger. I cut off the side thing, I sanded it down a bit, and I also dremeled out these two hair pieces that go down the front because I wanted you to still be able to see the torso. But so yeah, and it was covering the entire torso, so I dremeled them out so that it looks more accurate. And then also I did sculpt on the crescent and then paint it silver, and then do some black wash on it to make it look old. The head, all the pieces on this figure were skin colored, like tan pieces. The head was a Ginny Weasley, as you can see. I erased everything except for the eyes on that head, repainted the eyebrows, painted black around the eyes, and added extra eyelashes, and then painted on the lips. And then also she did have some like weird writing on her forehead, and I have honestly no idea what it is or what it spells or something, so I just kind of did some scribbles and it kind of looks like ancient writing, I guess. The torso was an area like curved torso, as you can see from the curves in the side, and it was just plain skin color, like I said, over the entire torso and legs of this figure. What I did was I dry brushed it in some gray to give it that dirty effect, and then on the hands and legs I dry brushed it in some black because her hands and feet are dirtier than the rest of her body. So I painted on all the details on there, even the tattoos, which did take a long time. I also did, for this figure, paint onto, if I can move her arm, paint onto the sides just because I felt it necessary, because I didn't want to have, because I did the gray wash on the sides, and then I was like, well, I don't want it to look weird because now the sides of the torsos are washed in gray, but they won't have the chains continuing to the back, so I just decided to, as well as I did continue the chains on the top of the bra onto the top of the torso, and then continue them to the back as well. And then I did the netting all around the arms and stuff. And the one tricky thing about Enchantress was that you can't really tell what color most of her stuff is, so what I ended up doing was painting like everything in black, and then going over it with gold to kind of give it the feel that it was gold, and then it kind of got rusted away. For the legs, they were also just a plane of pear skin colored legs, and I then and a black belt piece. So I did paint on her like symbols, I guess, or tattoos she has on them, and I can't really bend the legs because of the skirt, but the painting, like the wash detail, does go all the way. You can kind of see it in between the legs there. The front and back of the skirt are just pieces of cardstock, and I know that's not entirely accurate, but she had like this weird chain mail effect like for her skirt, so I didn't exactly know how to go about that, so I just painted the cardstock black and put gold dots all over it, and I kind of like how it looks. I mean, it doesn't really look like chainmail, but I like how it looks. And then she also does have the circles on the side there. So yeah, guys, that's it for Enchantress. Like I said, one of the more detailed minifigures of the showcase, but I had a lot of fun making her. And yeah, this was the first time I really tried dry brushing anything, and I think it turned out pretty good with all the gray effects, the dirty effects. So yeah, guys, now let's move on to Captain Boomerang. Alright, guys, now we have Captain Boomerang. He was pretty fun to make as well. He was kind of a challenge for his face, because I didn't really know how to get the face right, as well as the hair. Again, I didn't exactly know what to do for that, but I'll get into that with the close-ups. I just want to do a full 360. He was pretty fun to make, like on his torso, because I love. A bunch of people say that they hate writing words on minifigures like Harley Quinn and Joker, but I actually love doing it. It's a lot of fun. I think I nailed it, and I think I made the proportions and everything correct. So yeah, let's get into the close-ups. So for Captain Boomerang, for his hair, or hat I guess, I just use a Lego beanie from one of the minifigure series. If it wants to, there we go, come off. I don't know which one it's from, because it's from an old one. I think it's from the orange ones. And I chose to do this because I could not find a correct hairpiece. At first I was thinking of using a Superman hairpiece, but it didn't look right because the sides of Captain Boomerang's head are shaved. So then I took another Superman hairpiece, here it is, and I sanded off the sides, and I did a bunch of sculpting in the back so that it wouldn't have as much gaps as it did. And this still, it looked okay, but I was like, if I want to use this, I have to sand down the sides a bit more and the top, and I was kind of running out of time, and a bunch of people on Instagram were like, just go with a hat. So I ended up going with this beanie. The hair on top of the beanie is from an orc from Lord of the Rings. The tip of that hair, I just cut it off and then sanded it a bit on the front so that it doesn't stick out as much, although it still sticks out a lot, whatever words. And then the bottom of his beanie I painted brown just so that it looks like his hair sticking out. It doesn't just look like a piece of hair glued on the front of it, and I think it looks okay. The head is either Feely or Keely from Lord of the Rings. I think Keely, or not Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. I think Feely, I get them mixed up, as you can see here. And what I ended up doing was erasing. This was the angry face, this was the happy face, and that didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. So this was the angry face. I erased the mouth and the bottom of the beard, painted on a smirk, and then went over the beard and eyebrows in a dark brown color to make it a bit more accurate. The torso was just a regular blue, or Lego blue torso, which was, I'm just trying to push his jacket up, which I painted on the lines for the zipper, and then I painted the gold chain and the skin color, and I painted the gold chain around his necklace, or around his neck for the necklace, and I painted on the words Captain, which again was pretty fun. And then he has these white stripes on the bottom of his sweater thing, jacket. For his overcoat, whatever it's really called, I don't really know. That was the tricky part because some pictures it looks kind of gray, some pictures it looks kind of blue, and I didn't want to go with a full blue trench coat because then that would match his shirt underneath, and that would just be too much blue, I guess, and I didn't want to go with gray because it doesn't look that gray. So what I ended up actually doing was getting this trench coat from Cape Madness that was in a color called sand blue, I think. And it, I'm pretty sure this is sand blue. If I got that wrong, just leave it a comment, but pretty sure it's sand blue. And what I ended up doing was the arms was the most difficult part because I was like, oh, how am I gonna copy that color? So I took a pair of gray arms, washed it in blue. That's not Lego's dark blue. It's some weird kind of color. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's like a grayish blue. And then when that didn't match, I washed over that with regular gray, and it actually matches the color of the jacket really well. I also did wash over the jacket with some gray just to make it look a little bit more dirty. You can kind of see on the back there, on the sides there. The arms on his left arm here, he has, if I can, he has some arrows going up, and then he has this weird pad thing sewed into his jacket. He also does wear a glove on his hand, that's why it's brown. And then on this arm, he has like just a silver patch on his arm, so I just decided to do that. For his legs, they were pretty simple. He just has a pair of regular dark blue legs, which I'm actually running out of. I need to buy some more. Painted on his black boots, and then he has like duct tape or something around them, so, or like ribbon or something tied around them. So on this leg he has two, but I can only fit one around his entire leg. It does continue all the way around, and then on this leg it goes around his toes. And then I just painted on some gray detail on the knees because he has this weird pattern on his knees. And then also on his right leg, the ribbon or whatever around his leg does tie into knife holster. So yeah, I didn't end up having any like boomerang weapon for him because, as it turns out, I didn't know how to make one. A bunch of people were saying use a banana and just sand that down. I was planning on it, but I just don't really have, I didn't have a lot of time because instead of, my plan was to refine and give the other characters some more weapons and accessories and stuff, but instead of that, I decided to do Rick Flag, which I'm happy about. So he doesn't have a boomerang, but in the future I'll probably get him one. So yeah, that's it for Captain Boomerang. So now we'll move on to... Alright guys, so to start off with Deadshot, we'll talk about his weapon here. Now, I don't remember the exact type of weapon this is. I got it off of Minifig World, but I know that when I bought it, I looked it up and it was the same type of gun that he actually uses in the film, or when he uses his sniper or whatever this is. I don't really know lots of guns, but I bought it off Minifig World, and then I did some modifications to it. The grip up here on the front and the scope on top are both from Tiny Tactical because they looked the most accurate to his gun in the film. So I clipped off the scope that was on the top of this gun, glued on the Tiny Tactical one, and then glued on the grip, and then painted on all the red, dark red and gold details accurately. And I really like how it turned out because I knew that I really wanted to get his gun right with all the dark red and gold on it. Now the end of it, the barrel, is a little bit different than the one in the one he uses in the film. But when I looked it up and it said what gun type he has, it said it was modified. So yeah, I made it as accurate as I could, and I really like how it turned out. So that's enough of that. Deadshot was pretty fun to make. He's one of the first figures I made. The head, that's okay for me. I prefer his alternate head, which I'll get to later, but now we'll go into the close-up. Okay guys, so for Deadshot, the head was a cyborg slash new War Machine head. I erased off the other expression and used the angry expression. I erased the mouth off of that, repainted the mouth, and also painted on a beard. A lot of people I see were using the, not the brown heads, but the kind of in between the brown and the white heads, and I don't know, I just don't really feel like, I didn't think that Will Smith, like, his skin color matches more to this than it does to that, so I didn't use that, and I like this. And also a lot of people were painting on his eye help guide thing, but the reason I didn't do that was because I made an alternate version with his mask on, and I like this a lot better, so we will change his head. Okay guys, so for Deadshot's head, it was a flash cowl, which I then sculpted on the bottom, and the reason I have an alternate head is because this head, when I sculpted it, if I can get it off, as you can see, it actually encased the head, so the head, this is all one head now, I can't remove it, and I didn't want to do a removable mask in the first place because this looks more accurate. A lot of people, when they do removable masks, it goes straight down and it doesn't taper in, just so you can get it off, and this looks more accurate in my opinion, which is why I have two separate heads. So it was a flash cowl, I painted it white. Underneath, I think the head was, I think it was a Mace Windu head from Star Wars, and I think I erased one of the eyes, or no, originally I used this head as a Connor Hawk head that I was going to make. I'm not making him anymore from Legends of Tomorrow. So he had the mask painted on, so I just scratched off half of the mask, and I think that's actually his, that's his left eye, and his right eye is like over here somewhere, but it looks good, so I'll keep it. So yeah, it was a flash cowl painted white, and I painted on all the gray details around here, as well as the his eye thing. And I was going to use a like do a 3D eye thing, but it just ended up happening that it looks way better painted on, and the 3D ones were too bulky. So to start off his chest, I started off by painting all of the gray outlines first, then I filled them in with black, and then I painted the dark red, and then I painted on the silver dots and the logo. And then he does have like the two clips down here. Now on this figure, I didn't paint on the sides because I didn't feel, on some figures like Enchantress, I feel it necessary, but I don't really feel it necessary on this one. On his arms, he does have the shoulder pads. His arms are both the same, and for his wrist guns, they are barrels of Brick Forge HC1s. I snipped those off and I painted them dark red and gold accurately, and then I just used a pair of black hands for and painted brown on for his fingerless gloves. So yeah, I really like how the wrist guns turned out though. So onto his legs, they were just a pair of plain black legs, and then I painted on, oh, also on the arms, I forgot to mention, I painted on the dark red on the inside of the arms. Oh, and then on the back of his torso he has this plate and then some lines that I copied off of the Suicide Squad statue, and then the straps I connect to his back. For his legs, they were just a pair of plain black legs, and as you can see right here, the two clips that he has on his belt connect on from the torso onto the legs. I painted on his straps, and on this side he has a gun holster, and then on this side he has two more clips, and then he has these weird knee pads, and they kind of look uneven because it was really hard to paint them because they had a weird shape. And then he just has some plain black boots, which I painted on this detail onto, which does go all the way around. So yeah guys, that's about it for Deadshot. One of my more favorite figures of this showcase. I like how he turned out. And I hope Will Smith does a pretty good performance. And I am hoping that we do see him with the mask on a lot, because I like him with the mask on more than off, but in the trailers from what we've seen, he has it off more of the time. So yeah guys, that's it for Deadshot, and now we'll move on to Harley Quinn. just like Deadshot, Harley Quinn is one of my more favorites because I like all the detail I put into this figure as well as how accurate it is. So I'll start off with her weapon, which is the Good Night Bat. This was actually hard to print. As you can see, it kind of goes out of alignment around here, and then it gets back into alignment. It was just really hard to paint straight down. The first time I painted this, it actually was kind of like going on a diagonal, so I had to repaint it. And then I do have the diamonds and the red painted on the bottom there. And then also there's a bunch of writing on the back of her bat, which I don't know, I didn't want to write a bunch of words, so I did a bunch of scribbles, which also took up a lot of time. And then she also has some like red in between the black, so I did that too. So yeah, Harley Quinn, like I said, was one of my favorites, and I do have an alternate version of her, kind of. I have extra arms, which I'll show you later, for when I want to take the jacket off. So let's get into the close-up. So for Harley Quinn's hairpiece, I used the Zombie Cheerleader hairpiece. I'm pretty sure everybody that made a Harley Quinn uses this because it's just the most accurate, and yeah, it's like exactly how her hairpiece looks in Suicide Squad. So I painted over it with this blonde color, and I painted over the bands or whatever with the respective colors blue, red. It seems that like her left side is her blue side and then her right side is her red side, so I painted over that. And then on this side I washed it with some pink, and then on this side I washed it with some light blue. The head was the geisha head. I'm not sure which minifigure series that's from, but it's from one of them. I erased the mouth and I repainted the mouth. The only things I kept were the eyes and the eyebrows. I painted an extra eyelash on each side, and I painted the makeup running down her eyes. I painted some gray underneath her eyes, and I painted on the little heart she has, and then the word rotten. Her jacket was a modified Cape Madness AR jacket, just like all of the jackets in this showcase. And it was red, so I painted this half of it blue. And then you can see I painted on the property of the Joker. And this little symbol here, if I can get it, it's supposed to be a skull with a jester hat, but it just kind of came out looking like a shuriken. And then there is some writing down here that was way too small for me to do. The of was the smallest thing, and my gold paint is really crappy. I barely even could do the of, and I'm so happy that I actually got it, and I'm happy that I got the correct font for like all of those. And then there was that, and then these two lines on the side here are again supposed to be writing, but again I couldn't exactly fit that. And then there's a diamond, and then in between these two lines is supposed to be writing, but like I said, I couldn't exactly fit that. But I really do like how it turned out. On this side she just has a red arm with a gold stripe painted down, with the gold rings going around the wrists. And then on this side, it's a blue arm with the gold stripe and the red and gold stripes around her wrist. And then she is wearing her glove that she wears in the film on her left hand, and it is just a red hand. I painted the fingerless onto it, so I painted the skin color, and then I painted this blue triangle on because that is accurate to the film. And now I'll switch out the arms for her jacketless version. So here's the jacketless version, and I personally prefer this version better. So these arms were just tan arms. I then painted the white for the sleeves, and then painted the top of the arms red to continue with the red around the top of the torso. Painted the red rings. And then on this side I painted some blue underneath because that sleeve is blue for some reason. And then she does have some gold bracelets on her arms, so I painted gold around the wrist. And then on this arm I painted on her tattoo, which was actually pretty hard because I had to do like red triangles going all the way around. And then over on top of that I had to do black diamonds. As you can see, it doesn't exactly turn out that great, but and then as you can see on this hand, I had another red hand, so I just repainted the glove. So yeah, the torso was an areolite curved torso. It was white, so as you can tell I painted the top of the torso red, and then the top like up here, and then on the sides and back of the torso, so the red goes all the way around. I painted on the Daddy's Little Monster, which was actually pretty easy, considering, as you can see, how small I had to paint the Lucky You, as well as how small I printed Damaged on Joker's forehead. And then I painted on like the rips on a t-shirt. I painted on the skin showing at the top, and then also the skin on the bottom. And so, as you can see there, I'll get a super close-up of that after, but as you can see, Lucky You, and then there's a little dolphin with farting a rainbow, I guess. And then I do have her gun straps. She doesn't have a gun, but I still painted on, like, my minifigure doesn't have a gun accessory, but I painted on the gun straps, which do go past the side. So does the skin color for where her shirt ends, goes all the way around. So the gun strap goes all the way around. I painted on all the gold dots, and then it crosses at the back. And then the skin from the shirt goes all the way around as well. And yeah. And as you can see here, there's the Lucky You. And there's closer detail. You can see how small it is compared to, where is it? My thumbtack, which is what I used to paint it. You can see how small it is. And then the dolphin over here. So yeah, that actually only took one try, which was surprising. I thought I was going to have to redo it a bunch of times, but it was a one-hit wonder. For the legs, they were just regular skin colored legs. I painted on the shorts. A bunch of people were painting it in shiny paint because it's all glittery and stuff, but I don't have any shiny paint, so I just painted it in blue and red, which I think still looks good. And then I do have her shoes, and I hate painting shoes. I hate painting like details on the shoes, like the laces and stuff on both sides, because you can tell it's uneven. And then the black around the top of the toes, and then the back of them is red because they are heels. So I did I just painted where the heel is hollowed out. I painted some gray. I was planning on doing this, which would be cutting it out, and I did a prototype with this leg, but the problem with that is that when you put it onto a stud, it doesn't exactly like clip on like it used to. So yeah, I ended up not doing that, but whatever. As you can see here, on the belt piece, I painted on the diamond belt buckle, and then the dots, and then it goes all the way around the gold with lines through it, for her, like, the studs on it. And then for her leggings, as you can see, there's all the tattoos in there, and so what I did was I painted the tattoos on first, and then whenever the netting like gets up to that, it stops and then continues after, so just so that you can clearly see the tattoos. And I skipped out on a bunch of the tattoos because there was just too many, but this one is supposed to say Harley, and I didn't actually write the words, I just kind of put the first letter and then kind of scribbled it. So that's Harley plus puddin', and then puddin', and then a diamond, some hearts, and then one of those diamonds that's made up of diamonds, and then there's a heart with an arrow through it that's supposed to have a P on it, but I didn't do that. And then there's puddin' again, and then she has some tally marks, and then she doesn't have any on the side or the back. So yeah, so that was pretty complicated to paint. Yeah. So guys, that's it for Harley Quinn. Like I said, one of my more favorites of the showcase, and definitely one of the ones I was excited to make, and I really like how she turned out. So now, we'll move on to the final figure of the showcase, and definitely my all-time favorite, the Joker. Alright guys, now we have the final figure of the showcase, which is my Jared Leto Joker. He was the first one that I finished, and definitely, like I said, my favorite, because of all the tattoos and details I had. He has more on his back, as well as I have alternate arms for when I want to take the trench coat off. So, this is the version of the Joker I decided to make. It's the one from the Empire cover because that was really the only one that we had reference for at the time. There's this one, there's the shirtless one that was in the first promo image, which is technically just the same one as this one, but just without the jacket. Then there's the tuxedo one, the one with the shirt, like the silver jacket and the shirt. And then there's the one with the purple trench coat on, but then he has the shiny pants and he has a bunch of necklaces on, and that's like, I don't really know what version of Joker that is, but I know of it because it's on the back of my Suicide Squad Joker Pop Funko. I just have the version that matches this one, but there's also one on the back where he's wearing the trench coat and has a bunch of necklaces and shiny pants, so I don't exactly know when we'll see that in the film, but yeah, anyways, I chose to do this Joker because it was probably just because I wanted to do the shirtless version so that I could challenge myself and do all of the tattoos, but then also because I didn't want to have to do a lot of complicated on the pants, because I knew most of the detail was going to go into the torso, so I didn't want to do anything complicated on the pants, so all I have is the word Arkham, which is on the side over here. This is just plain Cape Madness purple trench coat, and I was gonna put the sections on it because he's wearing like a crocodile leather purple trench coat, and it has like the squares on it, but a bunch of people on Instagram said it looked good. Plus I only bought this to just kind of make it just so I could see what it looks like as this. It wasn't like my Captain Boomerang or Harley Quinn where it was like necessary to have a jacket. So yeah, we'll switch him. So here's the version of the Joker without the trench coat. As you can see, I painted the tattoos on his hands, arms. You can see the Arkham on the side of the pants, as well as the tattoos on his back. So let's get into the close-up. So here's the Joker's head, and I want to do super close-up so you could see the damage. So the hair was just a regular widow's peak hair. It's the same hair I used on Rick Flag, and I just think it works the best. I know a bunch of people were sanding off the actual widow's peak because his hair does kind of just go straight back, but I prefer to have it on just because it kind of looks better. I see some people that sand it off, and I just don't like the look of it. Plus, he does kind of have a bit of a the middle part kind of comes in a bit, so yeah. The head was a regular Lego Joker head, and what I did was I erased the eyebrows because for some weird reason this Joker doesn't have eyebrows. I painted gray around his eyes. There was already like light gray around his eyes, but I painted dark gray to make it look more accurate because he does have like stuff covering around his eyes. I painted on the J on the side of his face and the word damaged, as you can see. At first I painted damage, and it was like came from like here all the way to over here. And that was way too big, and I was at first satisfied with it, and then I was like, no, you know what, I want to make these figures really good, and I want to challenge myself, plus it's not even the right font. So I took a second crack at it, and I made it as small as I did, and it was actually kind of hard, and it's not exactly readable. I got the idea because somebody on Instagram commented, oh, I just put the first D and the last D and then put a bunch of scribbles in the middle, and I was like, hey, that could kind of work if I just kind of do the rough shapes. So I did the D in the weird curly font, then did a circle with a stick, and then just did like all of that, and then made sure to follow the font, so like with the G it goes down and then curls back up into the E, and then did the D on a slant, the last D on a slant like it is, just to make it look that much better. And yeah, that actually kind of was hard because before that I wasn't really used to painting tiny details. Now I'm kind of better at it. Like after that I painted the lucky U, and so yeah. And then I painted the teeth silver because he has the caps on his teeth. So yeah, I was considering painting gaps in between his teeth, but it didn't really look good. So yeah, now let's move on to the torso. So guys, I really want to get up close for these, for the torso, because I really like all the tattoos and stuff. Like I said, he's my favorite figure. So I started off by painting on just the body, so like the line, and then the pecs, and like the the stomach and the belly button and stuff. I started off with just painting that. And then the first tattoo I painted was the skull. I was originally planning on painting on a Lego skull, kind of like Drax the Destroyer. If you've seen that Lego figure, all the skulls that are his actual tattoos, Lego replaced with Lego skulls. It was kind of a cool effect, but it ended up being too big, and I didn't want to have my Joker, like, just parts of him be too big. I wanted him to look good, so I ended up just doing this version of the skull, which actually looks really good. And I did the jester hat, so it goes out that side, and because he was the first one I did, this was back when I didn't paint on the sides and tops of torsos, so that's why the jester hat cuts off there. That's also why he doesn't have the tattoo of the cards, because I didn't have time to go back and redo it. But if I did, I would have painted it like up here, because that's kind of where it is. But oh well, I still think it looks really good. So, and then I painted on the ha 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 all over that. The Joker was kind of hard to get right because I didn't want to make it too big, and I wanted to make it look even, and I wanted it to be in the right font. And I really like how it turned out. The smile at the bottom, though, I was planning on making it like underneath, because it is underneath his belly button, but it's not like tucked into his pants. But I just didn't have room to, so if you look at the Pop Funko figure, which is the one I have, the smile does go into the pants, like underneath, like the pants is over top of it. So I just did that, and it still looks pretty good. For his right arm, he just has the smile printed or tattooed onto the outside of his arm, and then he does have a robin, like a bird, which you can kind of see in the first promotional picture. You can see the wings, and then where I got most of the reference for the Joker, like his back and his hands and arms, was the Suicide Squad statue figure, which is the one that I used my most reference for, and there wasn't a lot of pictures of his bicep on that arm, so I just thought, you know what, I'll just make a robin, I'll just make a bird. So I painted a circle for the bird's head, I painted a little beak and a belly, and then some tail feathers, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm not sure if that's the pose the robin's in, but whatever. It is worth noting that people are like, oh my god, there's a robin on his arm, hashtag Jason Todd is Joker confirmed, but what they didn't notice was that on his other arm he has the Batman logo, so it's not, he doesn't have that tattooed on because he is Robin, he has it tattooed because he has both of them. And then on the Batman one, on the Batman logo, he has tattooed a knife going through it, so yeah. And then I painted the ha 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 all over his wrist, and if I move it up, it does go onto the inside. And then I painted the smile onto his hand and sealed that, because paint likes to come off of hands well. So on his back, the only detail I painted was the shoulder blades. And then for his tattoos, he has a little jester up here, and it was pretty small, so I tried my best to paint it as small as I could. So yeah, it's just like a stick figure. And then he has the words God's only child. I have no idea why, that's kind of dumb, but painted on his back there. So yeah, that's about it for his tattoos. Like I said, he's one of my favorite figures, and I really liked painting on all the tattoos and stuff. So now we'll move on to the legs. Alright guys, and the legs were just a pair of dark blue legs. I painted white on to the bottom because he doesn't wear shoes. And as you can see, there's kind of like white kind of powder up here because my white paint sucks. So when I tried to scratch it off, it left a bunch of stuff there, but whatever. And then on the side here, I have the word Arkham printed on because he's wearing a pair of Arkham pants. And that's about it for the Joker. Alright guys, that's about it for the Joker. Like I said, my probably my favorite figure. My second favorite is probably Harley Quinn. So yeah, guys, that's it for all of my Suicide Squad figures. And now we'll move into the outro. Alright guys, so that's gonna wrap it up for my Suicide Squad custom Lego minifigure showcase. I hope you guys enjoyed all the figures. I had a lot of fun making them. And yeah, so I hope you guys liked them. So after this, my next big project is X-Men Apocalypse, because I never exactly got those guys finished. The only finished figure that I have from that is Cyclops here. Mystique is almost done, and then I've only made progress on Quicksilver and Wolverine, besides these two. So yeah, I hope to get those guys done before October, because in October, or before September, because in September I'm going to be working on my CW figures. So I have a lot of guys to go over that, and I actually put up a list over on Instagram, so if you want to go check that list out, it'll list off all the figures I'll be making for the CW shows. So yeah guys, I will be at Brick Fair only on Saturday, but if more information coming on that soon, I will be making a separate video on that. Well, I already actually made a separate. I'm getting a little confused. I'm recording this on the Saturday before I upload this, so when I keep saying I'm gonna make a video about Brick Fair, I've already made a video about Brick Fair. But as I'm recording this, I am going to. I haven't recorded. Anyways, I have a video up on my channel already by the time you're watching this about Brick Fair. Yeah, guys, I guess that's about it. I really hope you guys really like these figures. I had a lot of fun making them, and I had a lot of fun showing them to you guys. So yeah, be sure to check out all my social media down in the description, where I post behind the scenes of customs and videos in the making. Plus I asked you guys a lot of questions on there. I know I had like a Q&A question thing up there. I always ask people on there about customs I should make, so if you want to join the fun over there, go check it out. So anyways guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.